Exiting the world stage at the age of 92 years, 22 clear years above the proverbial 70 years, biblically sanctioned for mortals. A life full of worthy achievements, which have impacted and inspired many, calls for a huge celebration to thank God for the exemplary life and times of selfless service to humanity of Professor Wensley, Vidal, Mobolaji Fowler, who joined the Saints triumphant on Saturday, November 21st, 2015. For someone whose entire life was characterized by conduct and persuasion of Christian virtues and values, which manifested profoundly in his endeavors, it was no surprise at all that events to bid Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler a final farewell began with a service of songs organized by Christian organization, the Men Christian Circle of the All Saints Anglican Church, Montgomery Road, Yaba, Lagos, of which he was a foundation member, being the oldest member of the group in its formative years. The service of songs in honor of Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler, which was held on Wednesday the 9th of December 2015 at the All Saints Anglican Church, Yaba, Lagos, which had in attendance his wife, Chief Mrs. Leila Fowler, Nee Moore, his children, and other family members, began with the rendition of the hymn, the Bible reading taken from Psalm 23. It was read by one of the daughters of the deceased. There were more hymns before the second Bible reading was taken from Wisdom chapter 4 verses 7 to 15. The third Bible reading was taken from John chapter 5 verses 24 to 29. During the special Thanksgiving session, prayers were said for the life of Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler and the entire Fowler family and all the professional, social and Christian groups to which the late Fowler belonged, as well as Lagos State and Nigeria. The service of songs featured rendition of special tributes and songs in honor of Professor Wensley Fowler by the Men Christian Circle and other groups and soloists. In the sermon by the Vicar of the All Saints Anglican Church, Yaba, Lagos, who admonished everyone to be mindful of their last days, said the late Professor Fowler has left a worthy legacy of integrity, philanthropy, robust scholarly contributions to his professional career of medicine. The vote of thanks ended the service of songs organized by the Men's Christian Circle of the All Saints Anglican Church, Yaba, in affectionate memory of Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler, who was a foundation member of the society. The Trinity House, Zion Center, Water Corporation Road, off Ligali Ayanride Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, played host to friends, family members and well-wishers of the Fowler family from Nigeria and other parts of the world during the Christian wake in honor of Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler. The dignitaries list was led by the wife of the Vice President, Mrs. Dolakbo Shibajo. A number of choir groups and students were on hand to render very soul-inspiring songs to give Professor Wensley Fowler a celestial send forth from these parts. There was also reading of portions of the Bible. In the sermon preached, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Anglican Communion, Church of Nigeria, Reverend Ephraim Adebola Ademowo, enjoined everyone to use their lives to sow very fruitful seeds, which would keep their memories in the minds of a lot of people, even when they have long departed, as is the case with Professor Wensley Fowler, who is being celebrated from all corners of the world purely for his goodness.
Today and every time, we will continue to thank God for the life of Papa, Professor Wensley Vidal, Mobolaji Fowler, a life well spent in the service of God and humanity. Papa Fowler was an Anglican to the core. He lived well and left his footprints in the sand of time. Our prayers go to the wife, Mama Fowler, who took care of him and stood by him like the rock of Gibraltar till the very end.
As he does traditionally to further drive home his point, Reverend Adebola Ademowo rendered a few songs and was joined by the entire congregation and the church choir, which supplied the musical accompaniment. A medley of songs of praise and hymnals rendered by choir groups and soloists formally brought the Christian wake for Professor Wensley Fowler to an end.
I'd like to thank all the other clergy people here today, because you know that it is not out of compulsion that you're here. We thank you for your time to come and spend time with us, and to also be with us in the time of both celebration and mourning. We'd like to thank Her Excellency, the wife of the Vice President, for making our time and being with us today. God bless you.
The final funeral church service for Professor Wensley Fowler took place at the All Saints Anglican Church, Yaba, Lagos. The church service witnessed a very robust attendance of dignitaries, who all turned out in the predominant white attire and shades of gold headgears for the women and caps for the men. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and his wife, Mrs. Dolapo Osinbajo, led the pack of dignitaries, which also included APC National Leader and Governor Emeritus Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his wife, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, Mr. Bode Emmanuel, members of both chambers of the National Assembly, the Senate, House of Reps, and members of the Lagos State House of Assembly. The wives of the Monarch of Lagos, His Royal Majesty Oba Rilwan Akiolu, were at the church service for Professor Wensley Fowler. The royal presence of prominent monarchs from the southwest was noticed. There was also an impressive assemblage of clergymen of the Anglican Church denomination. The church service commenced as the mortal remains of Professor Wensley Fowler, accompanied by the wife and the children of the deceased.
God will comfort her.
There were rendition of soul-lifting songs by the choir and some soloists, and reading of portions of the Bible by the children of the deceased. In the sermon of the Archbishop of the Anglican Communion, Lagos Province, Most Reverend Adebayo Akinde, which centered on the need for everyone to prepare for the ultimate end by seeing to it that in their actions and deeds, they are fair, just and kind to people they come across, no matter their relationship with them. Reverend Akinde said the exemplary life of Professor Wensley Fowler just touched so many people who have come to pay their last respect to him from different walks of life.
Mama, we are witnesses of your life. Your love for God, your love for the Church of God, and all God people publicly today will testify to God for you that you are a real blessing to God's church. Mama, let me just say, please don't you nurse any idea of going anywhere soon, because God has not finished with you.
There were special prayers for the wife, children, and other family members of the deceased. There was also a long drawn-out Thanksgiving session which saw friends, family members, and other well-wishers join the Fowlers.
When we remember Professor Fowler, I'm sure that many of us, especially those who knew him very well, will know that we had a great set of people. Loved his grandchildren very, very much indeed. And I always say that if God spares our lives and we live, on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, and the people and government of this great country, I want to just wish the family well and say that we have the comfort of knowing that the father and grandfather is a truly great Nigerian, and that this country owes him and owes his memory greatly. God bless you.
The remains of Professor Wensley Fowler was laid to rest at the Vaulton Gardens in Ikoyi, Lagos, in the presence of his children, grandchildren, and other family members. Prayers were said before the children did the dust-to-dust rites and bade their loving father, grandfather, and great-grandfather a most befitting final farewell. The Coliseum Event Center, Lekki, Lagos was the venue of the grand reception put together to formally wrap up the final funeral rites of passage for Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler. The reception witnessed the arrival of more dignitaries, and as usual, the main menu was music, music, and music all the way. The children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Professor Fowler and their friends went to town to celebrate the successful life and times of a great patriarch of all times. Professor Wensley Vidal Fowler, who received his early education in Nigeria and Sierra Leone, was admitted into Igbobi College, Yaba, Lagos in 1934 as a precocious student who later excelled in the senior Cambridge examination in 1940. Professor Fowler worked briefly in the Nigerian Railway Corporation before proceeding to Sherry College in Glasgow, Scotland, where he gained admission into the University of Glasgow, from where he graduated with a medical degree. Professor Wensley Fowler started his medical practice of anesthesia at the General Hospital, Broad Street, Lagos, between 1953 and 1958. Professor Wensley Vidal Fowler was involved with the World Health Organization program for Africa. He also performed surgical obstetrics and gynecological procedures. He worked at the Adeoyo Hospital in Ibadan. Professor Fowler was granted a scholarship to Royal College of Surgeons, London, by the Western Region government for his postgraduate degree, which he obtained in 1962. Professor Fowler worked at the Paddington General Hospital and St. James Hospital, Westminster, as a clinical assistant. He also attended the Hammersmith Postgraduate Medical School. Professor Fowler was for many years the only Nigerian specialist in anesthesia in the Western region. He also worked at the University College Ibadan UCH under Professor Fowler's watch at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth. The Department of Anesthesia pioneered the establishment of the one-year diploma course in anesthesia. Professor Fowler played a pivotal role in the establishment of the fellowship diploma in anesthesia when the postgraduate course was established in 1970 at the Nigerian Postgraduate Medical College. He was involved in the establishment of the West African College of Surgeons diploma program in anesthesia. Professor Wensley Fowler was the first chairman and chief examiner in anesthesia at the Nigerian Postgraduate Medical College, first treasurer Nigerian Postgraduate Medical College, the first Nigerian president Society of Anesthesia of West Africa. Professor Wensley Mobolaji Fowler was an erudite scholar who has published many articles on anesthesia. Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler retired voluntary from the Lagos University Teaching Hospital in 1978. He was the anesthesia consultant to a number of Nigerian heads of state. Professor Fowler was married to Chief Dr. Mrs. Leila Fowler Nee Moore, the renowned educationist and proprietress of Vivian Fowler College. They are blessed with 4 children and many grandchildren. Among Professor Fowler's children is Dr. Tunde Fowler, the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. May God grant Professor Wensley Vidal Mobolaji Fowler eternal rest in his bosom.